Welcome to IGN's Greatest Minds. In this 4-part series, we're showing you how Minecraft, yes, Minecraft, can put you on the path to becoming a fully fledged engineer. But since I have no idea what I'm doing, I've invited WildEngineering, a redstone specialist who will be wilding out by helping us see our results in a flashy way. It may not sound like much, but I can't even make a grilled cheese sandwich. Did you know that the bread goes on the outside, not the cheese? Whoa. Brought to you by the US Air Force. There are many ways to serve in uniform and out, full-time or part-time. Learn more at airforce.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Last time around, we covered how to enter a single decimal number one at a time and convert that number into binary. We learned about data flip-flops and built a bunch of them into a single bank. That's called a register. We placed it on our adder unit, wrapped it around into our input, and set up the shifting for the times 10 multiplication. That left us with just enough inputs left over to make the number 9. So now what we're going to do is attach the number pad to this build and set up some 7-segment displays to showcase our results. So let's go over the agenda. First up, we'll be connecting our numpad to the device. And this is a bit more complicated than you might think because we need to convert a single button pulse into a binary pattern that would be interpreted as our input. Then, we're building our 7-segment displays that show us what the number is, and then connect those displays to our device to show us both the decimal and binary representation of our numbers. So to get started, let's make a copy of the keypad we made and paste it perpendicular to the adder on the carry inside. What we need to do with our adder that we built in the last episode is align these inputs in a way where when we press one button on our numpad, making that signal turn off, it needs to encode several values onto here at once. For example, if we press 5, it needs to encode a 1 plus a 4, a 6 would be a 2 plus a 4, and a 9 is all of them on. In order to do that, we need to set this up in a way that's easy to work with. So let's extend this line and set up our inputs for 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We'll select this end as position 1, place our redstone down the line, and select position 2 over here. We'll stack it 4 times while looking up so they appear on top of our first line, and now we're going to hook them up like this, placing repeaters next to each line and connecting them up with redstone. Okay, our inputs are wired up. Now we have to encode the values into these. Since we have our 1 coming out on the left-hand side of our numpad, we'll want to set up a 1 over here, and a 9 on the right end. To make sure we stay organized, let's label these 1, 1, 1, 2, and 4. So let's set up our repeater on this line for 1, we'll set up 2 up here, and on 3, we need a 1 and a 2. We can do 4 at the very top. For 5, we need a 4 and a 1. For 6, we'll need a 4 and a 2. For 7, we'll need a 4, a 2, and a 1. For 8, we need a 4, a 2, a 1, and a 1. And for 9, we'll place a 1 on every line. Now to actually wire these up, we'll place some glass blocks in a staircase pattern like this, place our redstone, and we'll replace this block here with stone, and if we power it up, you'll see it reaches all the way to the top. Let's remove that switch, and select our position 1 down here, and position 2 up here. We already have 1 and need 9, so let's stack this 8 times. We need to know when one of these gets pressed, so if we build a bridge like this and place a repeater onto it to get the signal out, we will be able to tell when any of these buttons get pressed. This is our detection scheme. Going back to the numpad, we're going to go up a block on our outputs and place a torch onto it to make an inverter, meaning the torch will light up when the button is pressed. So let's go down here and select position 1. Go to the other corner and set your second position, and we'll grab it from the block this is going to power. So we'll use the command // cut, and then we'll come over here and use the command // paste -a. Let's put that glass block back and reconnect our redstone. So now when we press a button over here, you'll see that only one line lights up, and the signal will reach the end because of the repeaters we've set up. Next, we'll work on setting up our control signals. So the first thing we'll do for this part is add our clear button, which we can place right here, putting a bunch of buttons on it to make it easy to click. Let's label it, and then we'll clear out the block behind it, and place our redstone like this. Let's come over to our register, and we'll need to wire up our monostable to the input button. So whenever we get an input, it clocks that number. We'll extend our numbers input, and we'll also need our 0 input at the very bottom. Let's replace our 0 button with a switch so we can see how far it reaches. we'll place a repeater to extend the signal, and then we can have it combine up here like this. We'll need to power from the other end to see how far that one reaches. Looks like it ends right here. So we'll need to add a tick to this repeater down here for syncing purposes. Now this wire will OR with that wire. We can pull our signal out like this. We can place a button back on our 0 input. And we'll run our redstone all the way to the clock over there. Placing a repeater to make sure it extends all the way. Now, whenever we press a button, it will clock it in. But now when we press the clear button, it needs to trigger this as well. And it needs to happen sometime after we hit our clear button. So let's place a few repeaters and set these to have 3 ticks. Then we'll set up a path for our signal like this, and we'll wire it up. Placing repeaters on these locations to make the signal extend as far as it needs to. Let's also add an extra tick to this repeater for good measure. Now when we press the clear button, the register should be cleared. And everything is empty. Nice. Next, let's test entering a number. Let's do a 2, and you'll see that we get binary 2. Let's press 5, and now we have binary 25. And now if we press 6, we get binary 256. So it's working. Let's make sure our clear works, and it cleared our output. Now that we have that all up and running, let's work on building a 7-segment display that shows our decimal number, as well as a binary representation of it. To do that, we'll start off making an 8 shape using redstone lamps. We'll want each of these segments to be a length of 3 blocks. We'll set up a staircase on these vertical segments and place torches on them. Once we have all of them set up, it will be very clear as to why we're building these like this. Next, we're placing redstone targets next to our horizontal segments like this, and then place the blocks next to them like this. We'll place some redstone wires on the blocks and set up some torches next to them to light them up. Now what we want to do is control these vertical torches at the same time. To do that, we'll extend our structure like this and place a repeater here, powering these redstone wires at the same time. We'll do the same thing on the other vertical segments. So now we have 7 inputs. We'll extend these over here, and place a new extension in between the 2. Let's do the same for this top torch, making it look nice and symmetrical. This one on the left can come up and around, and the bottom left can come around like this. Let's wire these up. And we can move these torches to power up like this. And we'll do the same on all 3 horizontal torches. Now we have all of our segments and they're all on by default. So we need to reinvert them all. We'll restructure the ends here and place another torch to act as our inverter. Next, let's fill in all our gaps with redstone lamp blocks. What's neat about this kind of display is that the entire thing is made of lamp blocks, but only the 7 segments that we want will turn on. They won't bleed or cross over. We can add a border on the edge here. And that's how you build a 7-segment display. Since we're trying to display the shape of a value 0 through 9, we're going to need 10 locations to hold those shapes. So we're going to build an extension here and stack this up 6 times. Because we need a total of 7 for our 7-segment display. Then we'll select our first position down here, and our second position way up here, and stack this 9 times to get 10 total spots. Now, we'll remove the inputs that we don't need to form the shapes. We'll build our glass staircase over here like we've done before. We'll set our position 1 up here, place our wire going all the way down, and set our position 2 at the bottom. We'll stack this 9 times again, and it's looking nice. So now for the first one, we'll want to illuminate the shape 0. So let's place a lever here for ease of use, and when we see the screen, we'll notice that we don't need the middle segment, and we'll also want to break this block here to make it symmetrical. So if we look at the back of our screen, that middle segment is this line here, so we'll break this repeater, and it's looking good. Next for 1, we'll place our lever and rewire the redstone. we'll want the segments to be on the right side. Those are the lines at the very top and very bottom, so we can get rid of the repeaters in between, and now we have a 1. Let's move on to 2. We're going to take the top, bottom, and middle, and we're going to take out the top left and bottom right from the sides. So following this line, we'll get rid of this repeater right here, and we'll also remove the bottom one. That's our 2. For 3, we'll want to take out the 2 vertical segments on the left. So following those, we'll take out those 2 repeaters, and we have a 3. Now we're setting up for our 4. For this one, we'll want the 1 shape, plus the top left and middle. So we'll need to get rid of the bottom and bottom left, and also this top segment. The top and bottom are easy since the setup is symmetrical. Those are the second from the top and bottom. And to get rid of the bottom left, that one is this one, third from the bottom. We'll break that repeater, and now we have our 4. Next is our 5, the opposite from our 2. We'll still want our top, middle, and bottom segments, but we want to get rid of the bottom left and top right. So we'll get rid of the repeater on the top line, and this bottom left one is the third from the bottom. So we have our 5, but we're also running into an issue. We're starting to lose signal strength. Right now, we can maybe do 1 more before we need to adjust. Let's work on 6. For this one, we'll want all the segments except the top right vertical segment, which is the topmost line here. Let's break that repeater, and we're good to go. Now for the next one, we'll want to extend the signal, so we can place our repeaters down the line here. For 7, we'll want to get rid of the segments on the left side. So we'll delete this repeater, and then we'll also delete this one. And then we'll also want to delete the middle and bottom horizontal segments. That will be this one and this one here. Now for 8, we want all of them, so we don't need to delete any segments at all. If we flip the lever, we get 8. Finally, for 9, we're making a copy of 7. And we'll add the top left and middle segments. That's this guy. And the middle one is this line here. Now we have 0 through 9 encoded onto our display. Now it's time to grab our decoder and attach it to this. So let's go ahead and take this decoder and combine it with our 7 segment display. What we're going to do is grab it by setting our position 1 here, and our second one over here. We'll use the // cut command while standing on our 0 torch, and then we'll come over here and do // paste -a. And as you can see, this lined up perfectly. If we use the levers here to enter the number 6, that shows up on our display, so it's working. Next, we'll grab the whole thing by setting our positions to select the entire device. We'll go back to the front and copy from the left side. And then we'll use // paste -a, and let's do it one more time to get 3 digits. Let's fill in the gaps here and clear out the extra blocks. Now with our display set up, let's work on getting our controls connected. So whenever we enter a new number, we'll want it to pop up on the right side, and when we add the second number, we'll want the first one to shift left to make room for it, and then have it shift again whenever we input a third number. To do that, we'll need to extend the signal out like this, and we'll power it to see how far it reaches. It only gets to about here, so we can move that to this side and place our repeaters. It's the last 2 addresses that need it, so we'll do that across all of our display decoders. With all of that set, we'll extend these inputs over here with repeaters, and we can copy them by setting position 1 up here and position 2 down here. We'll stand on this block and use // copy, and we'll do // paste -a from here, and we'll do it again over here. Now we'll need our memory that's going to tell it what sequence to follow. So we'll place a repeater lock over here, and we can extend that signal over here. Looks like we might have a little interference there, but we can fix that by bringing this signal over this way. Let's get rid of the original torch and wire the other signal this way. Let's do the same thing on this next one, setting up our repeater lock and adjusting the signal so it doesn't interfere. Making sure we cover the places where it gets muddied. And we'll do it one more time for this last display. Setting our position 1 at the end, position 2 at the other end, and stacking it 3 times while looking down. We'll come over here and place our glass staircases on each one. We'll wire them up with redstone, and then we'll connect them with the clock that locks them all at the same time. We'll set some blocks this way, place redstone torches, and once we wire this line, they'll all update at the same time. Now we just need a monostable to shorten the pulse. We can build the blocks this way, and place a repeater and push it back to 3 ticks. And then place torches there and there. Let's test it. And as you can see, it sends a pulse out. And let's place some blocks over here. Now we can set a small extension here on the right. We'll use that to paste this build on our numpad over here. But first, we need to make one small change. So what we need to change on the number pad is add an encoding for those values. That way, when we press a button, we know what number to display. To do that, we need this small modification, because if we empower this and bring this glass up, because we need 4 more bits, you'll see the signal doesn't reach. We're 1 block short. Thankfully, we have a technique to extend the signal by 1 block and make it reach. So down here on this torch, we'll place a block and add our wire. Now you'll see that this is showing 15 and 14, and now it reaches all the way to the top. We'll do the same across all of these so they all reach the top. Now we'll grab our position 1 down here and position 2 up here, and we'll stack it 9 times. Let's repower this down here, and we can stack these down here, setting position 1 on this end and position 2 on this end, stacking it 4 times while facing up. I accidentally stacked 1 too many over here, so let's clear that. And now with all this set, we can start our encoding process. So when we press a 1 here, on these 4 bits up here, let's color them to show that they're different. We'll want to have a 1 and a 2, then a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Let's place repeaters on those. And now when we run power through these, we'll notice they're 1 block short. So let's place a repeater on all these. And we can clear these glass blocks. And let's remove this lever too. So now we have our 4-bit encoding output. Let's replace this end piece with a block and extend it back this way. So this right here is going to be the input into this piece over here. So we'll grab this piece and pull it out this way. Wire it. And we can copy this piece by setting our position 1 down here and position 2 on the other end. Let's copy the build while we're standing on this extension. And then we'll paste -A while standing on this block up here. It looks like everything lined up perfectly. So now we have our display right above our numpad. Let's hook this piece up, pulling these pieces out here and connecting them with wires. So now the output from this streams into the input over here, and then we have to latch it. So we're going to have to tell this piece to latch. That needs to happen whenever we press any button. So that's going to be this signal right here. Let's split this one up and out, placing a wire and a repeater, and then connecting it to the monostable up here. We'll need to make a small modification here so that the signals don't get muddied. And then we'll bring this one over like that. Let's test this to make sure it reaches. And it does not. So let's place a repeater there, and now that triggers the monostable. Let's remove that lever, and let's pulse the clear line to make sure that it clears properly. And yeah, that's also working. So now that this is hooked up, whenever we input a number on the numpad, the monostable should pulse. Let's come over here and test that out. We'll press a 2, and we get a 2 up there. Next, let's do 5, and we get 25. Then we'll press 6, and we get 256. Now that we have the decimal output and our binary output, we'll bring the binary over to this side so that we can see it. And we also need to make sure that when we press our clear button, it applies that here, which is relatively simple. We just need to hold the pulse for 3 ticks. So let's make sure that happens. We'll place a repeater in here, and bring that line down this way. And then that will connect to our clear line down here. The easy way to do that is to pull it off this line down here. So let's bring that one over. Let's also fix that piston I just broke. And then we can wire it up. Let's make sure it reaches by powering up over here. It's just a bit too short, so let's place a repeater to make it reach. Let's bust this binary value out to where we can see it, and then we should be done. Before we do that, let's test one more time, pressing 9, 9, 9. We should have the right binary value. And that is correct. So to bring our binary value over, let's start from here, and bring the signals on the left down and the ones on the right up. Let's also bring them out and align them vertically. And now we can place a redstone. And we'll place some redstone lamps on the ends here. And let's place repeaters to make sure the signals reach. And we can place blocks with a repeater in the middle to get extra signal strength on these. And now they all reach. Nice! Now let's block it off with some cool colors. I'm going to go with purple. And let's block off every 4 bits to make it easier to read. And then we can fill in the other ones like this. I did notice a small bug that happened from copying and pasting our decoder in. So let's break these levers and place a repeater there. And let's do that over here as well. Now with that taken care of, we've fixed the bug. Now we can test out all kinds of sequences on our big board, and we can see them all. Thanks so much for following along, and I hope this inspires you to get creative. If you'd like to learn more about how you can make other awesome builds like these in Minecraft and beyond, check out my channel for more tutorials on youtube.com/WildEngineering. See you there.
And that's it. You're now a true master of all things redstone. Congratulations, graduates! Just kidding. This is just the beginning. There is still so much to learn and so much more to explore. Truly, the possibilities are endless. Seriously, you can use your numpad to check. We'd like to thank WildEngineering for being our guide in redstone circuitry. From understanding binary systems, to creating adders, to developing circuits that hold equational memory, with all these concepts and tools, you'll be able to dive even deeper and get even more specific in what you're interested in building. Cultivate your own great mind both inside Minecraft and out in the real world.